So we want to give children digital tools so they know, so they can show you what they know. And I've talked about how powerful that is. So we want kids to be able to take photos or shoot little video clips, record audio, maybe their own voice as a narrator or the person telling the story or sharing the story. Use technology to search for ideas and do research, looking for content online as well. Collect and curate artifacts. And if they collect things, find things, make some artwork along the way, they can take digital photos of those things, and now they're digitized and they can be brought into their story. We want them to document their experiences. What happened? What did you do? Where were you? Who were you with? What did you see? Right? That kind of documentation. We want them to be able to demonstrate their learning, showing you what they've learned from the process, how they learn, how they like to learn. They can integrate art. They can integrate music. They can tell their story. And then these last 4 bullets are really important to me as it relates to why I think digital storytelling is such a win for young children. They can save their story, they can share their story, they can think about what it took to create their story, and then they can go back and look at it again. So saving it, right? It's not gone, it's not poof, and it's done. It's not a piece of paper that goes home to the parents and ends up on the refrigerator for a little while, but then is gone, gets replaced by something else. They can save this digital file. Sharing it is really powerful. So they can share it back to the teacher, with their classmates, with their family, with grandma and grandpa halfway across the country. That can lead to an amazing opportunity in a video chat to talk about the story and have grandma and grandpa asking the author, tell me about your story, tell me about what you were doing. You start to get the point here. This is powerful, powerful stuff that can come down to 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds very nicely. Reflecting, of course, is a life skill to think back on what did I learn, what did I do, how did it go, what would I do differently? All of those kinds of things are available. And then this notion of revisiting, to come back to it again. I want to pause for a minute and tell you my favorite digital storytelling story of all time from a 4-year-old classroom. 2 kids were in the block corner all morning, really busy, really talking to each other, building together this big tower. It's about to be circle time, so we all know what happens to that tower at circle time. It has to come down. The teacher grabbed the iPad because she could sense something really special had been happening over in the block corner, went over, took some pictures of the tower from different angles, and then interviewed the architects, asked questions of the 2 kids about what they were doing, what they were thinking, what were they trying to build, what got it started, how did they work together, those kinds of prompts and questions that we all want to ask, right? And then together, they created a little story out of this that they could save, share, and revisit. Now, the key to the story for me, the moment at which you go, okay, there is power in this digital storytelling, is the revisit moment. So a week later, the 2 kids go back to the teacher and say, can we see that little movie, that story about us building the tower? We want to build it again. So of course you can, and she shows them the story again, the video again. And then here's the moment. The 2 kids decide, why would we build the same tower again? We've already done that. Let's build something new and start a new story. So from revisiting comes new ideas, comes extension of an activity, and that one initial story that started with just building with blocks on a particular day has led to this ongoing interaction. That's really powerful. That's really powerful. So think about, as I'm talking about, how you can integrate those kinds of ideas into your own thinking. And it's just, the thing about revisiting is that when it's digital, it's so much easier. We just save it and it's always there. It never goes away. You don't have to go searching for it the next time it's available. Here's what Jerome Bruner had to say about storytelling. We are storytelling creatures, and as children, we acquire language to tell those stories that we have inside of us. We acquire language to tell those stories that we have inside of us. The human desire to tell a story, to get the language out, to learn language, and then give it back, the reciprocal nature of language and of story. Again, really powerful. And I think by now you can tell I get pretty excited about this stuff. I think it's really, really something that we can do. It's not that hard to do. It's certainly not hard to get started with, just with a little digital camera, but we can go deeper as kids are ready to. So digital technology for storytelling, hardware and software, a little shopping list here. You can be thinking about what you've got available to you. a laptop or a desktop computer. Somewhere along the way, we need a computing device to capture all of the elements of the story. I'm a big fan of laptops over desktops just because they're a little bit portable, but I'm an incredibly big fan of tablets and smartphones as being completely mobile. And so the storytelling tool goes on the walk in the neighborhood with us, goes out on the nature hike and is right there to record what we see and what we find and what we're talking about, right? So this idea of mobile technology that we all can't live without today is, again, a powerful idea in an early childhood classroom, because the technology can go where the exciting ideas are happening, like to the block corner when the tower's being built, but also out on the walk and when in the art corner and in the dramatic play corner, wherever it needs to go. Now, having said that, I'm going to put a big circle around tablet, and I know that tablets are part of the work that's being done in the Omaha school system. They have more screen real estate, right? A smartphone is a great thing for on the go, but not as much fun really as a storytelling tool once we've captured things. But boy, what a gift you can give to the parents who are at home sheltering in place and trying to survive as you are remote learning and their children are remote learning. If they always have their smartphones with us, we always do. Somebody's got something in their pocket. That means they always have a digital storytelling tool along with them, always. That's really powerful. And nudging parents and encouraging them to think about those storytelling moments, I think is really good. So a digital camera, which we saw from the other classroom, but let's remember that smartphones and tablets have digital cameras built right in. A digital camera that can shoot video clips, action clips, again, built right into a smartphone and a tablet. Digital voice recorder or an audio recorder, once again, already in there. You can see that the tablet becomes this amazing tool because everything's already there. A microphone, some headphones, and then storytelling apps and websites. I'm going to share a few with you as we go, and you can download a resource on digital storytelling as well that has some of these things listed and links for you to check them out. Multimedia authoring tools, this notion of what are the tools that teachers can use alongside children to bring together audio and video and still photos and all the kinds of media that you're working with. Presentation software. Turns out that Microsoft PowerPoint or Apple's Keynote or Google Slides are great digital storytelling tools because kids can overlay and use the slide kind of mechanism to create and bring in content. So we don't even have to have a specialized piece of software necessarily if we've got those. And then, this idea of Google search or whatever search engine you have available and building in that notion of doing the research about the story is really important. I like the little image here in the corner, this idea that in your laptop, you've got the library. It's evocative of what I'm trying to say, that kids can create and build this library. And imagine over time, you're the teachers, imagine over time, we can look at the story that little Chip wrote when he first came to school or as remote learning began in the fall, and then the story that he wrote with someone else middle of the year, and the stories that he's writing at the end of the year, and we can see that progression, not just in his storytelling skills, but language and literacy and cognition and development. So again, all of these things can just feed into the work. So here's a couple that I'm going to recommend, and give me just a moment here. Yes, I'd recommend. I actually don't typically recommend. I'm going to share these with you, and you can take a look and see what makes most sense. You can see what you already have available or what can be available inside your classroom and in the remote learning environment. But these are some of the ones, the top four on the top are storytelling apps that really exist specifically to help young children, preschoolers, create stories because they provide a template and put a picture here and add a song here, and it's that kind of thing. Book Creator, which is the one at the top here, is one that a lot of the teachers that I worked with in Chicago when I was in Chicago really liked and really used. But all of these get great reviews on Common Sense Media, and they all do similar kinds of things. So again, on the handout, you'll be able to take a look at these. And then at the bottom, you can see some adult tools that can be useful for children's storytelling. Again, PowerPoint or Keynote or Google Slides, VoiceThread, which is really a kind of a narration and vocal storytelling, oral storytelling tool that can be used. Wakelet is a place where we can, again, aggregate content. So, have a play, take a look. You may already be familiar with some of these. If not, take a look around and see what you think and see what best suits your needs. And some of these are free, and some of these are, a little low cost for an app, but these are also things you can pass along to the parents about tools they can use, tools they can have on their smartphone or on their tablet, and be ready to tell a story at a moment's notice. So these same tools that I'm telling you are so exciting for kids to get their hands on are the same tools that are exciting and powerful for you as teachers to get your hands on in your teaching, in supporting children's learning, in documentation, which you need to do for so many reasons, and in family engagement. So just quickly, let's tick through some of these. So the analog, the old school, the can't believe we still do it that way tools, right? They'll never go away. They'll never not be valuable to you as a teacher and to children growing up and to parents. But we tend to get so excited about digital tools that we forget. We can take notes and create transcripts and write journals and save children's artwork, have work samples of the things that they've been doing, stories, all to keep these in analog files. We've been doing that forever, and it doesn't have to stop now, and it shouldn't. Then we get to digital files. Now we can have video recordings and audio recordings of your observations, children's questions, your conversations with children, these kinds of things, again, that you can catalog over time, document over time. Digital photographs, you can create slideshows, examples of the child's work, art, artifacts, and other evidence that you can convert into digital files. And there's it is again, save, share, and retrieve. So you get the point. These same tools in an early childhood classroom are the tools everybody's going to be using. And the power of that is that children see you using these tools for documenting, and then you can be talking to them about how they document what they're doing with the same tools. Pretty powerful. And again, the ability to share with families is powerful as well. And then some specific tech tools, your smartphone, the tablet, audio recorder, we talked about these. Text messaging and emails and e-portfolio platforms as a way to communicate with families, a way to share stories with parents and others. I think that's really powerful. If you go back through all of this and you just take a moment to reflect on your own work, this is all about storytelling, really, isn't it? It's all storytelling. It's about observing something and writing it down and sharing it with someone else, coming back to it later. So, this notion of storytelling as a really big construct for our conversation, I think, is important. Dr. Seuss said this: "You're never too old, too wacky, too wild to pick up a book and read to a child. Never too old." Okay, here's one I'm going to really encourage you to take a look at. It's at bookcreator.com. Because now you can go see examples of kids' books, and so you get some ideas about digital books and digital stories that children have created. But you can also go there to see what kind of teacher-created books and resources have been created, and they're divided by age and developmental level and grade. So you really can hone in on the children that you have in your virtual classroom and your remote learning classroom right now, and what kinds of things can you use. But I love this little list of things that you can do. You can tell interactive stories. You can start a portfolio. You can keep a research journal. You can create poetry books from the writings that kids are doing science reports, provide a little instruction manual on how to do something, help children create about me books and things that they can do as well. So take a look. The other software that I showed you has similar kinds of resources. I was particularly impressed with what Book Creator has done since the last time I visited their website around aggregating these kinds of examples for teachers, so you can see what other teachers are doing. And really, isn't that part of our 21st century teaching and learning model, to be a connected educator, to connect with other teachers and see what they do, to share your best practices with them so they can learn as well. So just take a look when you get a chance at that. I think it's well worth your time.